All right, beautiful. So what we're going to do is the market opens in approximately 50 seconds. When the market opens, what I'll be doing is just simply, again, being cool, calm, and collected, being patient, and trying to find a pattern that I like. That's all I'm looking for, my friends, is just a pattern. And I am going to be keeping an eye on WYNN at some point to go bullish. If we don't get the chance today, it might be later in the week. I will also be using a day like today to sell volatility for my really advanced option traders. This is going to be a fun day to look and find opportunities to sell some puts on. So I'm sure I'll be talking about that a little bit later in the day. All right, here we go. Market is open and INO is up 30%. Again, pretty strong gap, but I do expect it to have some selling. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to, is some potential selling on INO. Now, again, this is what it looks like with the extended hours turned off on INO. Let me just make sure it's shortable. INO. Yep, it's shortable. So just going to keep an eye on it. I'm not going to do anything right now. Trust me, if I get into a trade, you will all know about it. But I'm just going to watch this one for 2 or 3 minutes. 2 or 3 minutes. Talk about being patient, right? Having to wait a whole 2-3 minutes for something to happen. Again, I do like Tesla gap. This is a pretty nice gap down. This stock has been really strong recently. This purple line that we have on the chart is the 10 EMA on the daily chart. So again, I'm expecting the market to trade higher at some point and then get some rollovers. So I'm just going to be really extremely patient on going bearish on anything. Because again, the broader market is already down 1.7%. So I just want to be exceptionally calm, cool, and collected before I go bearish on anything. I'm really looking to go bullish on something. Going bullish would go against the broader market, but I kind of would like that. And I really do like this gap on 3M. I do. It is not bad. I'm going to scoot that one up pretty quickly. So 3M and Beyond Meat, these are two relatively, I could argue, broader market companies that are gapping up. So BYND is up 3%. What I'm going to look to do on Beyond Meat is buy a pullback. So I'm going to look for something like this on Beyond Meat. Okay, let me put it over here. I'm just going to turn the moving averages off so you guys can kind of see what I'm looking at. This looks like it's going to be a $3 stop, 122 by 119. Let me go look at the 1 minute chart. Let me go look at the daily chart. Again, it's a small gap. It's nothing crazy. Nothing crazy, but it does look pretty good. All right, so let me pop over here to a 3 and a 2 minute chart. 2 minute chart. And again, we might miss the trade because actually it does appear that we probably did miss it. This is going to be the low right here. Yep. And again, it's okay. Deborah says you might miss Beyond Meat. Very strong. Not too late to get in. No, I do think it's going to go higher, but that was the low that I wanted to try to get on a pullback, and I was just going to be a little too late to that party. The low of that was 122.20. So let me certainly keep Beyond Meat on my list, watch it for a moment, and then come back to it in just a second. What I'm kind of interested in is 3M. I really like 3M because it's only up 1%. This is definitely a broader market company. And what you're going to notice is what I'm trying to do right now on 3M is buy off of previous resistance. So you'll see right here, this is the high of the previous day, a resistance of the previous day, and here's some pre-market resistance right here. You have to keep in mind, though, this stock has already gone from 176 all the way up to 180. That's $4 pre-market. That's a really big move. So I don't necessarily want to buy a breakout of this stock, even though it could work. I want to buy the pullback, right? I want to buy the pullback. So what I'm looking to do is to attempt to get in to 3M bullish on a pullback. That's what I would like it to do. We'll see if I get the opportunity to do so. And again, we're going to come back to it in about 2 or 3 minutes. Beyond Meat, very strong gap, right? Looking at something going against the market. It's okay that I'm not going to get filled at 122. Beyond Meat, really, really strong stock. When it starts moving, it starts moving. And then let me come over here to WYNN. WYNN Resorts down 9%. That is really, really big. 9%. There's a nice little high wave candle on a 5-minute chart. That's pretty. A lot of volume too on WYNN. So if I take WYNN Resorts bullish, it would look something like this. 123.87 by 122, 121. So I could do 120.87. That'd be a $3 stop loss. So this is a possibility. Possibility. Not in it yet. Again, I'll let you all know when we get into a trade. You'll be very, very confident that you know exactly why and what we're getting in on. Susan says the spreads are very crazy for Beyond Meat. You are correct. So both options and stocks. So that's why you probably want to consider getting in with a limit order of some kind if you do play Beyond Meat. And 3M is about to make its pullback, I think. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to try to catch 3M on a pullback. Let me just draw what I think it wants to do. All right, so there's Mr. Squiggles. I'm going to see if I can catch this with a stop right here. Now again, just because I'm taking this trade, my friend, doesn't mean it's going to work. 178.87 by 175.72. I'm going to make that official, and then I'm going to show you all how you can calculate your position size on that trade. But before I do that, a lot of you already know how to do that. I'm just going to post that in Slack. This is our community that everyone gets access to, anyone who subscribes to the trading rooms full time. This thing is going 24 hours a day, all the time. All right, new official day trade. Okay. 178.87. Like I mentioned, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show everyone how you can calculate your risk or the amount of shares that you want to take in just a moment. Most of you probably already know that. But what I'm doing is I'm going to do the quick math. 177.52 is $1.35. Okay. All right. So again, all I'm trying to do is just buy this on a pullback. It doesn't mean it's going to trigger, and it doesn't mean if it does trigger that it's going to work, right? All those things you got to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Got to plan worst case scenario, got to plan best case scenario. But here's what I'm doing. So one way that you can determine how many shares you're going to buy is to know your risk. Knowing your risk should be how much money you want to lose if you're wrong. How much will you lose if you are wrong? If you are wrong. How much money is that? You should know the answer to that question. Usually it's about 1% of your portfolio on any given trade. So let's say you have a $50,000 portfolio and you want to risk 1% or less on any given trade. 1% of 50,000 would be 500. So the way you can calculate that is pretty basic, actually. You take 178.87, you subtract 177.52, and that's going to give you a number, which is $1.35. You then take your 500 divided by $1.35, and it'll come up with 370 shares. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, how you can mathematically create, determine, and specifically dictate how many shares you want to buy on a particular trade. And that's a really exceptionally useful formula to know. So thank you, Ashley, for posting both the video and the article in the chat pane if you're interested in that. I'm also going to eventually put this trade in our trade tracking journal. So this is our trade tracking worksheet where, people who subscribe to the trading room, you can get access to this. And it's a really great, super fun to use tracking process and tool that you can implement to just kind of, again, keep track of what trades you're taking, when, where, and why, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to be filling that out in just a moment. Once we have that open, let's go look at Beyond Meat and then WYNN and then a few others. Okay, so Beyond Meat is working on pulling back. Oh, brutal. So let me go ahead and kind of talk just a moment about what I do in situations like this. Okay, because this is not, again, this is not just me, but this is what I like to try to accomplish when I trade, is if I have a setup that I really like and the trade pulls back into the price that I wanted to buy it and I miss that price by pennies, I cancel my order. Now, that's just me. I realize that a lot of traders are it's most opportune for you to just set up a trade and walk away and don't do anything. I get that. But for me, if I'm sitting by and watching the trade, right? Keyword if I'm sitting around just watching this particular trade come in, then I will cancel my order if I miss something by just mere pennies. So that pullback, I wanted at 122.01. The pullback low was 122.11. So what that means is I'm canceling my particular order because I wanted to catch it on the S curve, right? Buy low, sell high. That was my goal, at least, on Beyond Meat. So what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is wait a little bit longer for this particular trade. I'm going to give it some time. And then here is WYNN, WYNN, WYNN Resorts and Hotels. And again, this was one that we were looking at going bullish on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a limit buy here and a stop loss down here. Okay, this is going to be a $3 stop loss. Again, if you're playing options, you could play the 120 calls or the 122.50 calls. WYNN, 123.67 limit buy with a stop loss at 120.67. All right, give me a few moments. I'm going to pop over here and let everyone know. Now, here's what's really cool. For anyone who does subscribe to the trading rooms, this is actually a text message alert service and as well. So people who are creating the alert to get messaged anytime I use this word, day trade, they are alerted that I'm submitting this trade officially. So it pops up on their phone. Oh, cool. Jeremy's looking at getting in bullish on this particular trade. So great. Let me get in. All right. So this is a $3 stop loss on WYNN. So again, whatever your risk is, you can take your risk and you can divide it by $3. So I'm looking at getting in at 123.67 with a stop loss at 120.67. The target on this one, I don't know yet. We'll see how it works, if it works at all. But I will put that one on and okay, that order is ready to go. Let me type this in so this is official. And I'm going to throw this over here. Give me just a quick moment. And again, it might not pull back as far as I want to, but if it does, that's great. And if it doesn't and it keeps running, that's also fine. David says, what's the option for WYNN? You would look at the 120 call option for WYNN expiring this Friday. And there you go. You could do 120. You could also do, I mean, it goes in dollar increments. So you could do 120, you could do 124. Scott says, why so much room below the high wave candle? Is there supposed to be support? I'm just giving it literally 20 cents, Scott. So it's not that much room. You know, it's a $100 stock. So you want to give it a little bit of room. But the other reason I'm doing it is just so it's an easy math. You know, that's the other thing. is I just wanted it to come up with an easy amount of math on that particular trade. So I hope that answers your question. It's not that much room. Joel says, are you in 3M? Yes, I am. So 3M is pulling back, which again, ladies and gentlemen, it may or may not work, but if it hits 177.52, I will be stopped out and I will lose on that trade. So again, this is a hard stop. A lot of people ask me that question. Do you use hard stops? And the answer is yes. This is a hard stop. This is a stop loss in the system and in the broker. But what is, I think, very useful about this piece of information in this candle, ladies and gentlemen, if you think about it this way, how cool is it to not buy up here? That's one thing you got to keep in mind is when you're taking trades, sometimes it's very useful to know when to get in and when not to get in. I'm not saying this trade works, but I am saying that a lot of traders will be very comfortable with their analysis of buying a breakout and then getting stopped out on a move like this. Type in a 1 if that's you, a lot of your trades, that you feel like you get in too high and then when it retraces, then you get stopped out. Right? So this setup was getting in on the pullback, getting in on the retracement. Again, it doesn't mean that it's going to work, but it does mean that I'm doing my absolute best to buy low. Andrew says, WYNN has earnings after the bell on January 29th. Yes, sir, you are correct, Andrew, and we will be exiting our WYNN trade if we get filled on it. We'll be getting out of that today. All right, so I'm going to turn the extended hours off. Just kind of get a general idea to look at. All right, so we did get in on a pullback. Let me look at some bigger picture. Let me look at the 15-minute chart. Okay. 30-minute chart. Okay. Hourly chart. It looks all right. I was hoping that it wouldn't fade that much, but it did fade a lot. The SPY, we are gapping down right now, and we are bouncing, ladies and gentlemen. So right before market open, again, you might recall me saying that we're going to trade down a little bit lower. And then after we trade down a little bit lower, then we're going to eventually bounce. So this, let me zoom in just a moment. Let me zoom in. Let me just hide some of the drawings for a second. So this lower shadow right here, this tiny little lower shadow, that is the low, right? So it went lower. And what we're working on right now is we're working on bouncing. We're working on fading. This is known as a fade, ladies and gentlemen. So if you ever hear that term, that's what this means. What I said before market open is that we are likely going to trade a little bit lower and then fade the gap. That's why I was looking for stocks that are gapping down to fade higher and stocks that are gapping up to continue higher. So that's what a fade is, right? All of these traders who are in bearish are buying to cover. They're looking to lock in their profit. Dave says, what would the stop loss be on a 120 WYNN call option? Let's see. For expiring right now, WYNN 120 call option for this Friday, the bid and the ask is pretty wild on that. So you're probably looking at buying around $8.25. So I'd probably put a stop loss at $5.25. So I'll look to do. Okay, so let me just go back through the list really quick. And just kind of look at what we were talking about and what we were trading. Okay, so 3M, we are in on officially. And WYNN had a beautiful, beautiful high wave candle. Absolutely gorgeous. And popped above it. What I'm now looking to do is just get in on a pullback. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I'm not entirely sure. But I do think it's okay to wait for that. Talking about long-term trade on WYNN, this is the daily chart. And what you'll notice very beautifully is how WYNN is bouncing off of its long-term averages, which is the 100 and 200 simple moving average on the daily chart. So again, that's another reason why I was looking at buying down here, is because it was gapping down into its very strong long-term moving averages. The weekly chart, it was also gapping down into the 200 simple on a weekly chart. So the 200 simple is also a really good long-term support, right? So this is another reason. What I was doing is stacking my reasons and my rationales for why I wanted to play WYNN bullish. Again, I don't think they have really any massive impact with the whole virus issue, number one. Number two, it was a black candle gapping down. Number three, the whole market was down pretty large, and I was finding a blue chip stock, right? This is a blue chip stock. WYNN is a dividend paying company, gapping down into really strong levels of support, looking at buying it down there, and that's pretty much what we got. Tim says, there is large risk to the virus. Tell me more, Tim. Teach me something. All right. So again, if we look at the monthly chart, here's the monthly chart on WYNN Resorts and Hotels. You have the long-term moving averages. The 200 simple on the monthly is 120.56. So that'd be a really, really good, nice, long-term place to buy low, sell high. Robert says, 3M is coming back. What's your management strategy this morning? Just waiting. My management strategy, be as patient as possible. Tim says, Macau operations will be hit by travel bans. No one is meeting in large places and all theaters are closed. Right. I just mean like long-term, Tim. This is a short-term reactionary move, in my opinion. I don't think this is going to have any impact long-term. Again, I could be entirely wrong about that. I've been wrong before. I've been wrong many, many times in my past. It's just, I don't see long-term how this is going to have any impact. This is a very quick, you know, it's happening. Let's move on. This and this, wash our hands with it and be done. So that's just, again, kind of my thoughts. All right. So I try not to really look at too much some of the trades that we're in. I try to let them just kind of do their thing. Obviously, we will know where this trade will no longer work is if we break below 178.03. So what I'm going to do is kind of put in here, this is a little bit of like a mental stop, I would think. So this is just like, if we break below this price, this is where I get to tell my brain, yeah, I don't think this trade's going to work. Mental stop, all right? If we break below 178, it's like, yeah, I don't think this trade's going to do anything great. The VWAP, if you use the VWAP, is actually at 179.76. So it's going to be really important for us to break above that price, hopefully soon. And if we can break above that price, I think we're going to have a winning trade on 3M. All right, so WYNN, ladies and gentlemen, this is a beautiful trade. I just played it a little too conservative. I need to do the trade to get in as soon as it broke above that candle. And again, really, this is an indicator inside TradingView that actually shows the 200 simple moving average on the 5-minute chart. Really, really cool. But here's the 200 simple right here is at 124.12. That's the one that I was referring to earlier today, just a few minutes ago, is why WYNN was bouncing off that price. It's kind of why. So again, long term, I do think this is a relatively viable event on a lot of these companies. And for those who sell volatility, I wasn't even about to get into credit spreads or option sales or anything this morning, but I do think that WYNN provides some really interesting opportunities. For those of you who do like to sell options, the $100 and the $97.50 March put options have really good premiums. So you could look in getting into a bull put spread, or you could look in getting into just a regular put sale if you don't mind owning shares at WYNN Resorts. Jason says, how to decide to trade gap direction or to fade. Just takes a little bit of practice, man. That's all I can say. Takes a little bit of practice. Work with me for a few months and you'll know. It all comes down to the sentiment of the candles, right? Being able to look at the charts and ask the question, who's buying here or who's selling here? Are people flipping out or are they excited? Most of the time, Jason, very frequently, I fade blue chip gap downs. That's usually, you can kind of like put that in your cap. That's a pretty common thing for me. So again, blue chip, you guys all know what blue chip is, but for those of you who don't, it is a stock that pays dividends. So WYNN Resorts is one of those stocks, right? WYNN does pay dividends, and stocks that pay dividends, if you have a large gap down, I look to fade those. Does that help, Jason? So again, that's normally what I look to do. I will leave this trade open for another 20 or 30 minutes or so and see if we can get filled on it. Let's go look at our other list though, because I feel like we're managing it pretty well. Beyond Meat, again, man, that's a beautiful gap. I know Felicia's making money on Beyond Meat, and I missed the entry by 9 pennies. 9 pennies! 9 cents on Beyond Meat. Oh, it's brutal. But again, it's okay. It happens. Don says, is fade shorting? No. Nope. Fade is going long if it's a gap down, or it's going short if it's a gap up. A fade, Don, is just when a stock trades the opposite direction of the gap. In fact, Ashley or Matt or Brad will throw in the video that I have for fading. There it is, right on cue. So Don, if you don't mind clicking on that link and watch that video. It's entirely free and it's really, really good. You'll like it a lot. All right, so WYNN again is running. INO, I'm just keeping an eye on this one. I don't know what this one's gonna do. Tesla gap down and also faded with the broader market, so not really surprising there at all. Square also gap down and faded. Again, not really that surprised. That's pretty much just what the broader market is doing. So Square, I'm gonna kind of keep an eye on, but really, really nice gap down. Lake, so Lake gapped up and is being sold. Oh, that's a beautiful hammer. Oh, that is nice. That is nice. I'm gonna have to set this one up. I don't even trade Lake, but that hammer by itself is just ridiculously good. Time is 8:57. I'd almost want to put the stop down here, even though that's a little bit of a large stop. It's up 11%. Let me scoot this up because 3M isn't specifically working. Right? It's not really working, which is a little lame because the broader market, right, the SPY, we did get a bounce. It was a nice bounce. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm hoping. My hope is that this is kind of what happens to SPY, and in that rotation down, in this move lower, that 3M doesn't get too affected and actually gives us an opportunity to bounce. That's kind of what I would like to occur. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But we'll see. A lot of the moving averages on 3M don't look amazing. There's not tons and tons that are holding up 3M. So again, as I was looking through it, I do that a lot as I'll look through a lot of the different moving average time frames, right? This is the 15-minute chart. And you can see that the moving averages are pretty sideways right here. They're not really in a great trend. The extended hours, they're not terrible. So that's why I'm just kind of hoping that we can get a little bit of buying on 3M, but I don't expect to hang on to this trade much longer just because it's not really working that well. 30-minute chart, again, if you use the extended hours, it looks okay. The hourly chart, it looks all right. I would like them to have a little bit of a better trend, a little bit of a better angle. So we'll see. Okay, so back over to Lake. Lake does not look bad, and WYNN, WYNN, What we have right now is we have an open order to buy it at 123.67. 123. And I will go ahead and let you all know that I have an objective. If I lose on 3M, which is extremely possible, if I lose on 3M, then if WYNN triggers and bounces and I can sell it here, I will be up on the day. I'll actually be profitable for the day because I would have lost one risk unit on 3M and I would have made about 1.2, 1.3 maybe on WYNN Resorts if this trade works. So that's why I'm letting you all know I'm already planning in the future that I'm going to lose on WYNN, and I'm going to try to come up with and discern what I want to occur on WYNN. All right, so let me come back over to Lake because I do kind of like that hammer. 3 minutes, a little spready. 2 minute chart. I don't want to buy it too high though. That's the thing. I don't want to get in too high. This is the 3 minute and this is the 5 minute. 1542 by 1472. Let me look at the high of this candle. High of this candle, 1540. I think that's going to be it. Getting in on a breakout. So this is going to be a stop limit order, ladies and gentlemen, so that we're going to get in if it breaks higher. All right, so let me come over here. New official day trade. So this is a new trade. This is official order. I'm going to be putting it in right now. Official 1542 by 1472. Just in case we get a little bit of a runner. So again, this means I'm looking at getting in, but only if it goes above 1542. So I'm using a stop limit order to ensure that that is what happens. And I won't be getting triggered in unless it breaks above 1542. Stop loss is 1472, and the target for that, I don't know yet, but we'll just put it, I don't know, 1650. And let's do that. All right, buy 1472. Okay. So we'll see if that does something great. Again, it may or may not, but it doesn't look like 3M is going to work. So again, it's coming into my mental stop, which is the mental stop is where I say, yep, this trade's most likely not going to work. Let me go do my best to find to either win small or to lose small on something else. I really did like the buy. I think the buy was properly placed. It's just the moving averages on this one aren't really doing anything great. There's no real phenomenal trend. We did open very nicely above the high of yesterday. Really good open. I can dig that. It's just that there's no real help with any moving averages or any trend of any magnitude on 3M. So what I'll probably end up doing, and again, this is me planning what I want to do next, is if it flashes a low like that and then bounces, I'll take the hard stop and I'll move it up so I'll lose smaller on the trade. And that is likely what's going to happen. Okay. So there's the flash lower. And again, if I get stopped out at 177.52, my friends, I'm going to lose my predetermined, prearranged amount that I'm absolutely comfortable with losing on any given trade. And then again, if I can make that back on anything else that I trade and have a winning day, that would be a very normal procedure for me. This happens all the time. I lose on a trade to then go on and win on another trade. I mean, that happens pretty much almost every single day. All right, so INO is not going lower, at least not yet. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that one. Tesla's hanging out. Square's hanging out. Someone's asking about Texas Instrument. Let's go look at Texas Instrument. Texas Instrumentes had a really nice move. Oh, that's a great gap down. Wow. Very pretty gap on Texas Instruments. Okay. That is list worthy, I would say. So thank you, Jason. Let me put that on the list. And what I'm going to do is just kind of watch it to see if it can trade sideways, break below here, and then retest. But I'm going to put Texas Instruments on the list to see if we can maybe get a chance to short it. Don says, would you short the airlines, Delta or American? They do have nice gaps. I agree. But they are blue chip stocks, right? Blue chip stocks mean they do pay dividends. I can put these on the list, but I think the answer is no. I don't think I'm going to short them. I'm going to look to see if I can find a long opportunity on Delta for sure, and American maybe. Let's just go look at American. American is really, really low. Man, look at this. This is a weekly chart on American Airlines. It is down there. Low, low, low. So that's pretty much what we got. Let's go back over to 3M. And again, what we're looking at on this one is we did get stopped out right there, 177.52. So 3M, ladies and gentlemen, did not work. All right, so it had a really good buy entry. It did have a really good gap. It just broke lower, had a little bit of a chance to win, and then just did not. So that is a loss. That's a 1 hour loss on 3M. So now what I'm going to do, my absolute best of, is trying to take another trade and win more than I just lost on 3M. Right? That's the goal. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that is the objective. Lake is an official trade, which is LAKE, Lakeland Industries. And what's really intriguing, ladies and gentlemen, is this stock does not have to move very far to make that loss back. In fact, if it goes up to here, I would be already profitable for the day. So that's good to know. It's very good to know. Texas Instruments, I'm going to keep an eye on. WYNN Resorts, I'm going to keep an eye on. Beyond Meat, we'll see what we do, if we do anything at all. Tesla, trading sideways. I don't know if I'm going to play Tesla today. We'll see. Square got its little fade, which was pretty. SPY. So WYNN SPY, right? Gap down, trade up, rolled over a little bit. VXX. So this is how you can trade the opposite direction of the SPY, and then Delta. So again, Delta doesn't look bad. I agree with Don. It is a little on the weak side, but I'm going to think if we can trade lower, I'll look to buy it at some point. Daniel says, do you think UPS might bounce? At some point. Again, this is a really nice gap. There's a lot of great gaps out there, for sure. This is a very pretty gap. UPS, also a pretty blue chip stock. It trades pretty sideways. If I was looking at buying it, it'd probably be in the 110 area. It could bounce, yeah. I don't know if we're going to day trade it or not. But if you do end up trading it, Daniel, and you want me to, let me know. Falco says, do you still have WYNN open? I do indeed, my friend. Still have limit buy at 123.67 open on WYNN Resorts and Hotels. Susan says, Tesla options are expensive. They are, mostly because Tesla has earnings this week. Daniel says, I'm in long term. I got in months ago on UPS. All right, cool. Right on, my friend. Beautiful, beautiful.